Hey guys, welcome to back to my channel. My name is Will, and this is Wealth with Will. On this channel, we talk about real estate investing, stock market investing, entrepreneurship, financial independence, personal finance tips overall for wealth building. I started this channel mostly to talk about those topics, but in this video, I actually wanted to start to talk about some of the updates for the second stimulus check or the second stimulus package updates. And today we heard about the HEALS Act that was proposed by the Senate Republicans today. So the HEALS Act stands for the Health, Economic Assistance, Liability, and Schools Act. So in this video, I'm going to quickly summarize some of the items in the HEALS Act and what it provides to Americans. And then we'll talk about what that means for us and what the next steps are. So with that, we'll go into the video. So the HEALS Act is in response to the HEROES Act, which was provided by the House Democrats back in May. And we've been waiting for a GOP plan. And they finally came up with this plan that was shared today. Now, what the plan covers are a couple things that are important and what people care about, which is the first item, which is the stimulus checks. So the HEALS Act covers stimulus checks at $1,200 per person if you're making $75,000 or less, up to $99,000, similar to what the CARES Act covered. And then it covers $2,400 for married couples making up to for married couples making $150,000 or less, making up to maxing out at $198,000. So the HEALS Act confirms that there will be another round of stimulus checks for sure as part of this bill that was proposed. Moving on to the next item in this act is the additional unemployment that were provided by the federal government. So everybody knows that there's been an additional $600 per week that people have been receiving from the federal government, but that actually expired at the end of July. What this plan proposes is actually to reduce that limit from $600 to actually $200 per week up until, I believe, October. And the plan will be once it gets to that plan in October or September, I believe, one of those dates, then they'll, in order for somebody to keep receiving that, they have to show that they actually are receiving less than 70% of their pre-employment income. So, but the key thing to note there is that the reduction in that monthly or the weekly benefit from $600 to $200. So taking quite a bit of hit, or that kind of reduction, and very, very different from what the HEROES Act provided by the House, by the Democratic House. So that's the second thing to note in this update. The third item that is kind of critical is the Liability Shield. So this bill proposes to make sure that companies, institutions, educational companies, hospitals, your employers, your businesses have some form of liability shield for at least 5 years for any COVID-related illness or a liability to them. So what that means is they're trying to push the fact that those companies are protected for the next 5 years through this bill. So that's the third thing to note. The next thing to note is actually state funds. So this bill actually doesn't really address state funds. It actually doesn't cover it much or provide any funds. Still heavily relies on states to rely on the previous funds that they got from this CARES Act, which was back in March time. So this bill doesn't really cover the state funds or the help the states have been asking for and municipalities have been asking for. So that bill doesn't cover this, or this bill doesn't cover that. The next will be educational funds. So this bill covers about $105 billion for educational funds. This would be for schools, K-12, or higher educational institutions that are planning to reopen in the fall, granting that they meet what they call a minimum opening requirement. they'll be able to tap into some of these funds in order to help their efforts in reopening back in the coming fall here. So that's the the fourth item that this bill covers. A couple other things that the bill covers is the PPP loan. So we are aware that the PPP loan was something first launched in the CARES Act, which provided over $500 billion in aids to businesses. And there's been a lot of issues with the PPP loans, and there's still actually additional funds left from the PPP loans. But what this bill covers is try to supplement the additional bills left, because they are looking out for potential economic impact here in the near future, and they want to be prepared. So this bill provides an additional $105 billion to the PPP loans that we all know about for businesses right now. The next item that this bill covers is health funding. So it provides about $36 billion in total to health institutions like the CDC, the National Institute of Health, to be able to keep on the good fight on testing and being able to provide funds to do research for the cure of the coronavirus. So that's the other item that this bill covers. And then the last thing that is kind of interesting that this bill covers, and I think it's going to really support a lot of the businesses that have been hit hard, is actually a tax deduction on meals for the rest of 2020. So I believe what this is trying to do is trying to incentivize Americans to be able to go out and support local businesses, especially restaurants, to be able to spend money there, get a tax deduction, which hopefully by doing this, those restaurants that have been hit hard are able to get some revenue and be able to recover just a little bit and rely less on the federal government and state governments to be able to recover from some of the damages that they've suffered through this couple months with the coronavirus. So those are the things that the HEALS Act covers. So now what is the next step? So the Congress is pretty much set to go on their next vacation by August 8th. So right now, the House Democrats and the Senate Republicans need to get together now and start to work on trying to figure out a bill that they both agree on from the HEROES Act, which is what the House provided, and the new HEALS Act, which is what the Senate provided. Try to make sure that they both agree on those acts so that they can send something to the president to sign into law before they go on recess. And that's critical. So I think that covers that for this update for the stimulus package update, or the stimulus check update for the HEALS Act for July 27th. So I hope everybody's doing okay. My hope is to be able to keep posting on these videos, or keep posting videos to provide updates like this. So I would appreciate if you could like this video, subscribe to this channel, so that you can keep getting updates like this to be able to provide you the critical information you need to be able to be in touch and stay in touch with the information that is changing rapidly about coronavirus and the stimulus check updates and the stimulus package updates in the coming months. So thanks for watching this video, and I will see you all in the next video. Thank you.